Alright, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today's video, we're gonna go over one of the bosses that you will more likely farm in Selenopolis, which is Taking Tree. Since Selenopolis is basically around the corner, I think it's time for me to post all the videos on how to farm some of these bosses and basically prep yourself when it comes to live realm. You'll fight this boss at one point in the story anyways, and what he does drop is wands, amulets, circle jewels, shield pins, and moon dust, which you're going to be using that moon dust to craft other pieces anyways. Hopefully you enjoy this video of me talking about the strat and everything like that, and eventually I will post slides in the Discord. So if you are not in the Discord and you're watching this video, definitely go in the description, join the Discord. There's a lot of good guides in there, and I know a lot of you guys appreciate all that stuff, so definitely join the Discord. And I appreciate all you guys, whether it be subscribing, turning on your notifications, or even just liking the video. It helps me out a lot, more than you realize. But let's talk about Taking Tree. So Taking Tree has a somewhat of a unique concept where essentially he swapped things around. Now you've probably heard the swap thing so many times in the past, but it's a little bit different. So he has this unique cheat called take this and I'll take that. So if you use like a fire blade or any type of blade, single blade on yourself, he will just take it from you. If you put a dot on him, a single dot, he will swap it to you. If you put a hot, he will take the hot away from you, so forth, right? But you can bypass some of this cheat where if you use, like, for example, protected stuff like Aegis, Indemnity, using elemental blades and spirit blades, yes, it will take the first, like the blade that's on the top. So if you are like fire, for example, you would want to use like an Aegis blade, but like if you're your storm or whatever, you don't really need to have like the protected stuff. So that's why we're going to be talking about that type of setup and how you would basically farm this fight. It's pretty straightforward. It's like a 2-round fight, but yeah, it's very straightforward, very straightforward. Beyond that, take this and I'll take that cheat, he does have another cheat where he's like, virtue dies when truth is realized. Now I don't know exactly what each one of his cheats does, because it's just one little cheat, and he can either do a dark pact on himself, he can use regenerate, and I think there's one more, I'm not too sure, but you can kind of just evade that by not casting fates round 1 and just casting it round 2 when you're ready to hit and everything like that. He does have minions as well, and these minions are kind of annoying. Reason being is they can cast a negative aura on you where you can't gain pips. Now you can evade this. The reason, or like the way that you do this, is basically have the fourth person that's in your fight, whoever the fourth person is, right, whoever's your hitter and stuff like that, stagger join the fight. You can basically make it so the minions don't even target the fourth person. If you don't know what stagger joining is, I'll show you guys a clip in the back. So basically once it shows that we're in the fight and that fourth slot is open, then the fourth person can join, and you'll be able to like basically evade the last wandering weed so they don't target you. It's mainly just so that you don't get hit with that aura that basically makes it so you can't gain pips, because it kind of like chalks up your run a little bit, just due to the fact is that you won't be able to either use a Stormlord and stuff like that. So it just kind of makes it a little bit more annoying. Yeah, you can use the Wallaroo AoEs. There's many ways you can do this fight, but I just made like a mock setup of what you would do, just because this fight isn't that difficult. Right, it's really not. At first it was, just because the cheats were a little bit weird, and definitely the cheats have been like changed slightly since like the first instance I played this, because when I first did Taking Tree in test realm, basically if we did elemental blade or spirit blade, he would just take the entire blade. It wouldn't just be, oh, let me just take the top portion of the blade. He would take the entire spell, so he would take all 3 blades, etc. So it's a little bit different now, unless I'm just referencing challenge mode, but we'll see about that. But those are his basic 2 cheats. He probably has other cheats too, but it's like you don't really have to worry too much about him, because it's just those 2 specific ones that he does use, and you can kill him by round 2. So there's that. Now what do you do? What is the strat? So the way I did it was, we had 2 people, right? You can use more blades if you really need to on round 1, but I really don't think you need more than like 1 blade or 2 blades, right? But you can have the first 2 people pass, and then the third person can use a protected elemental blade or a spirit blade, whoever's who you're hitting with, right? Whoever's the hitter. In my case, we did elemental blade. If you're a fire, you have to be using protected blade, but if you're a storm, you don't have to protect the blade because the storm is like at the end or whatever. So he only takes the fire blade. So that's why if you use protected and use like Aegis, for example, on your blade, he won't take it because it's protected. So there's that. And then we have the last person, just use frenzy or reinforce. Pick whatever you have. If you want to use frenzy, go for it. If you have a reinforced pet, you can do that too. You have a little bit more options, right? And then on the second round, you just basically do feint, and then you can use a bubble or you can blade again. It's really up to you. I just use the bubble just because it's just more easier. Getting a 35 bubble is not that hard. If you feel like you're not going to kill, if your stats aren't the best, on round 1 where you pass twice, if you really want to, you can have someone get yourself like another Aegis, like a balance blade or something, right? Like there's many ways to go about this. Just give yourself more blades, more buffs. You can even use attenuate and stuff like that too, if you really feel like you're not gonna kill. But you should genuinely kill with 2 feints, a protected blade, a frenzy, and then a bubble, and then like a 7-pip. You just kill. It's really not that difficult. But yeah, we use mass feint due to the fact is because there's minions and stuff like that. Yeah, you already have a frenzy on you, but sure, it's just extra damage. And then on top of that, you use a protected feint on the boss so he doesn't swap it. Now, when you do use mass feint, he will swap it, right? But the thing is, it really doesn't matter if he does, because how mass feint works, it puts a 75 trap on everybody, including yourself. So if he swaps the trap with you, he's still putting a 75 trap on himself. So it doesn't really affect like the strat in any sort of way. But you want to do is make sure that you have a protected feint on him, so he doesn't swap that with you and then you have a 70 feint on you. So that's why we have to use protected, so you want to be using indemnity on that. And then of course the fire bubble, storm bubble, whatever. If you don't have a bubble, if you're like a spirit hitter, like if you're hitting with like a life hitter, death hitter, or ice hitter or something like that, use something else. Just give him another buff, give your ally another buff. It doesn't have to be a bubble per se, it can be another elemental blade. It can be something else. There's many ways of going about this, but getting a bubble is really not that hard. You can get jewels. You can literally go in the bazaar and buy an amulet that has a bubble. There's the pets, of course, as well. So you have a lot of variety when it comes to that. But I just use bubble because it's less animation time. And then of course you just hit with a 7-pip. You can hit with your Walrus spell if you want to as well. But just to keep it consistent, I just was like, let's just make it a 7-pip hit. Give yourself a Stormlord. Hit with the Fire Dragon if you want to. If you want to use a different school, you guys can hit with your 7-pip AoEs. You can hit with the Walrus AoE. You have a lot more freedom with this setup. So that's realistically all the strat. And keep in mind, this guy does drop you the wands, right? Now, if you didn't farm the wands from the Nightmare Dungeon, you guys are more likely going to be farming this. It's an easy fight. Like, yes, he does drop amulets as well. The amulets are not going to be for me per se, but for the people who didn't do the Nightmare Dungeon and want to craft the wands, you're going to be doing this guy 25 times anyways. Well, it's a 2-round fight. I feel like no one should be complaining about this fight. It's really not that hard, and if I can do it, you can do it, right? And I made the strat as easy as possible. So there's that. And you can add more buffs if you really feel like your stats are really bad, but you really don't need the extra buffs, I'll be honest. So that's why we just have 2 people passing, just to save time. And yeah, if we were to do mass feint or potent feint or protected or any of that stuff, he's gonna just end up swapping it round 1. And then on top of that, if he doesn't end up swapping like the protected stuff, right, at the end of the round he does, like when virtue dies, truth is realized. So if he does a dark pact instead of a regenerate, you kind of lose all your feints. So that's why we do the feints on round 2 and everything like that. But that's the basic strat of Taking Tree. Now I will upload a challenge mode guide on how to do Taking Tree, but that won't be posted till later on. I just want to post the guides for standard mode right now for all the casual people. But yeah, you guys will eventually fight this guy in the main story, so don't worry about like, oh, do I have to do a side quest? Do I have to do any of that? No, he's the main story boss. So you'll fight him, and definitely get yourself a group of members. People will be more likely be on team up for a lot of these fights, but the strat exists, right? The strat exists. Eventually, I will be posting guides in the Discord with the whole slideshow, like which I do usually every year, which has like the slideshow of like how to do A, B, C, and fight. Just right now they're going to be in video format until I release all the videos, and then I'll post everything in the Discord. So be on the lookout on the Discord. And yeah, that's how you beat Taking Tree. Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Definitely look forward to all the other guides for all the other bosses. Very straightforward guides. And yeah, so leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Let me know anything else in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.